Hey everybody, welcome back to the 30 Minutes of Fame podcast. Today I've got a guest that, holy shit, I'm excited about. We actually crossed paths. I was about to go on this podcasters group page and leave it because I thought it was worthless. I wasn't really, it was all spam and this and that. And then his story popped up and I went and watched a few of his videos and I'm like, wow, I need to get this dude on my show. Denny Weinberg, author of a very powerful memoir called Outlaw to Salvation. Just an incredible story. Some things that I'm going to put a trigger warning on this episode. We're going to be talking about prison, violence, drugs, gangs. Basically, all the triggers you can think of may come from this episode. So watch at your own risk. And if you're out there struggling or going for anything similar, just reach out to help with some of the options we'll put in the description. But Danny, welcome to my show, man. I'm excited to have you here.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I had to laugh. It's, you know, nobody ever says the last name right. So it's actually Winebaugh, like BA, Winebaugh. But I had to laugh. It made me think that's how I was introduced at my wedding as
Oh,
well. Mr. turned me and the wife around and was like to introduce you to Mr. and Mrs. Denny Winebaugh.
oh,
So
well, that was the Canadian version I gave it there. So, wanted to, wanted to throw some tariffs on this episode.
there we go.
But yeah, I read your book. It's the fastest I've read a book since I read It by Stephen King. And man, oh man, we'll talk about that. But I guess
Appreciate you.
your story starts at around 4 or 5 years old when something pretty traumatic happened in your life. So let's start there.
Yeah, man. It's also the first chapter of the book. We lived in Downey, California. My father was supposedly out hunting, and it was just me and mom at home. And I was asleep in the bed, and I was woken up by her screaming, pounding on the wall. We lived in a duplex with somebody living next to his dad's friend. And anyway, I didn't see anything. I was just woken up from her screams and everything, and she was saying somebody was coming to the window. And so what I remember is her screams, pounding on the wall. And then when the police were there, I could, you could see that the screen was pushed in, and then there was a boot print outside. So right there in the little dirt there before the window. So that was the first thing. The neighbor Dennis, he come running over. He had a gun in his hand. So yeah, that's my first, I guess, traumatic. Scared me forever. I wouldn't sleep by a window forever as a kid. So,
Wow,
but yeah.
that's intense. So how did that set the stage for I guess, the anger and rebellion that kind of followed you right into your teenage years? I mean, you're around violence. You told some stories in your testimony about your dad.
Yeah, so my dad, same name, Dennis Winebaugh. He yeah, he's a story all on his own. So my father was arrested for murder, contract killing. There's a book out called Murder with a Badge, and he killed people for an officer in the Los Angeles Police Department. So he was arrested when I was about 12 or 13 for that.
Wow.
But yeah, he was quite the character. As you read in the book, he excuse me, he was a violent man, liked to fight, and that's how I kind of grew up. Uh, from 5 till about 13 when he was arrested. That I fought, man. If you wanted to fight me, you just had to come to the door and win or lose. And I lost a lot of them. Trust me, I had a big mouth. So yeah, you can just knock on the door, and my father would tell me to go outside, and he'd grab his cup of coffee and his Lucky Strike cigarettes, and he'd go out there and watch. And that's how that was. That's how I was brought up with him. Strangely, though, to me, other than little things like that, he was actually a good dude. Uh, Problem with him is he wasn't a father; he was more of a friend. So, kind of friend that gets you in trouble, but he was more of a friend. But yeah, so he went to prison. He got extradited. We was arrested in Oklahoma. I've got the newspaper sitting here next to me. Uh, and that was the last time I ever saw him, about 12 or 13 years old. So they extradited him back to California, did his time in Chino, and fulsome and stuff like that. So,
Wow.
uh,
Man, I can't even imagine. Like, I grew up, my parents were Salvation Army ministers. So I grew up around charity and giving and just a totally loving family. So that kind of stuff, when I have guests on, they're talking about, like, I'm lucky, I'm so spoiled. And then I ran away from it all. Um, you, I don't want to spoil too much about your book, but there was one story that stuck out with me where you got in an altercation with a kid and you bit his stomach and he was injured pretty bad. I mean, myself, I would probably be grounded for months, but you got what did you get from your dad after that?
yeah, so that was my real first fight. Uh, these kids had got me to, I was 5. We just moved from abruptly from California to Oklahoma for no reason at all. Now we know the reason. That's because my father was on the run, but they had got me to him and his brother had got me to say my first cuss word. My first cuss word was the F word. And no sooner did they get me to say it, they ran and told my parents. so so me and my buddy were arguing about it and ended up getting to a fight, and the families came out to watch it and cheer their child on, and Teddy was stronger than me, and he had a couple brothers and sisters, so he had had some experience, and so I bit him, and bit him pretty bad on his stomach, and and the fight was over after that. And yeah, my dad just wiped the blood off and told me you do what you got to do to win. Basically, good job. That was that.
Wow. No, I'm not jumping ahead too far here, but do you have any contact at all with him or
With who? My father?
yeah.
No, he passed away when I was 19 years. He died in prison,
Okay.
heart failure.
Wow.
So
Well, when he was in there, did you have any contact with him at all?
yeah, so we used to write each other. So I spent my teenage years, as you read, in a juvenile lockup uh, called Lloyd E. Rader out of Sand Springs, Sapulpa, Oklahoma. Doesn't exist anymore. It got shut down for a lot of violations, a lot of abuse there. So I spent my whole teenage years there. So while I was there, we used to write each other when he was in his prison and I was in my juvenile lockup. And
Wow.
when I got out, my last words to him actually were he had called. It's also in the book, another story. Uh, he had called one night and I was moving out of my mother's house and collect call from the penitentiary, and my last words to him were I don't have time right now, here's mom. So those are my last words to him.
Wow.
I was 17, I think. Yeah.
So how much with his story and that the whole LAPD thing and the contracts and how do you think that fueled your path to becoming the outlaw?
So funny thing is as a kid, to answer that, we have to go back for a second. So when he got arrested, my mom split. So it was just me. And that's how I became a ward of the state and all that stuff. So the only figure in my life was my father. And I always kind of wanted to be like him. And this is in the 80s when all the gangs and everything was really starting to get popular and the mafia movies, and wow, my dad was a hitman. You know what I mean? Uh, he was a gangster, a real guy. I want to be like him. So that affected me pretty hardcore. Uh, I pretty much, started living that in the juvenile and Raider on the streets, and for a large part of my life. I used to believe that I didn't have a choice, that I had the blood of a murderer and not so good woman running through my veins. I actually believe that. Well, when we're kids, we believe silly things. So
Wow. Um, when you got out of the juvenile center, you you had lots more curveballs coming at you, like family violence. What was your breaking point there that almost kind of derailed you getting back on track?
so as I put in my book, I found religion at the end of the teenage lockup. And so I was actually doing kind of good when I first got out. And but my stepfather, he used to beat my mom. quite a bit. And that was the breaking point. That's when I split, and I think that was actually the day of the phone call. That was why I was splitting.
Wow.
And I was actually supposed to go to the army. I took my ASVAB, my ARCO test, and just ran from the recruiter after that. Worst decision in my life. I should have went. But yeah, man, after I left my mom, I started, doing drugs and just running with gangs and it, it got really crazy. So I was only free from the time of right before 18, so 17 to 22 years old. So from 17 to 22, I went wild. I went absolutely wild. I wanted to be just like my father. I wanted to be known. I read this book where they said, just the look of his eyes, people feared, and I wanted to be like that, and I strived. And by the grace of God, I didn't end up being like him. I've never killed anybody. I've never done, the things that he's done, but I got pretty violent, uh, pretty known. Um, Everything is verifiable. All my records. I ended up going to prison for two first-degree aggravated car thefts, possession of an illegal weapon, and possession of an explosive device out in Denver, Colorado. So yeah, I was living that life. Uh, my Let's see, what was the turning point before I went to prison? You read in the book about my hands. I guess that's the tragic part.
Yeah.
So not only was I running with the street gangs like Bloods and other gangs there in Denver. Now I was never affiliated, but to sell drugs and to live a violent life, those are the type of crowds that you run with, right? And so it would also be bikers as well. And I was young and dumb and thought I was a real outlaw, a real gangster. And what I realized is I wasn't, that these guys were. And I'm not going to name the club just for the fact that they're still around, But anyway, I ended up robbing a kid that I shouldn't have robbed. And their punishment basically is I went to their house one day to sell some drugs. And I knew something was wrong as soon as you walked in. As soon as you walked in the door, things you knew they were wrong. And anyway, long story short, they ended up robbing me of my money and my drugs and then letting my friends leave. And then they took me downstairs to the basement. Now, I've heard stories about this basement before.
Mm,
I've heard them. So, excuse me for coughing. I don't know why I'm coughing so much.
it's okay.
So, we're going down to this basement. And I don't know if I said it out loud or to myself. I was pretty high. I didn't think I was coming out of the basement. So I had asked, Jesus to, forgive me of all my sins and to come into my heart and make the promises that a person would when they're in that situation. So anyway, they take me down into the basement and they pull out a bar stool and they tell me to put my right hand on the bar stool. No, I'm shaking. And they put a gun to my head and said if I flinch like a B word, that they'll shoot me like one. And they had a pickaxe handle. I don't know if you guys know what a pickaxe handle it is. It's like an axe, but without the actual axe on it, just a
Yeah, yeah.
long, big old piece of redwood or oak or whatever it is. And it's got a flattened end. Anyway, they put my hand on the bar stool and whap, whap, whap. I mean, they hit it like 3 or 4 times and completely flattened it. Move this mic out of the way. That's my hand. You can clearly see that's a fist. Can't make a
Wow.
fist. They just completely dusted my metacarpals. Hit it like 5 times. And then they tell me to put my left hand down and they hit it. Excuse me, I'm telling that story wrong. They hit my right hand once and completely dusted it. They made me put my left hand on the bar stool and they hit that one several times. And what's funny out of that, I only got a hairline fracture here and a hairline fracture here. And when that happened, anyway, I was released. You find more about it on the book, Outlaw to Salvation. Uh, I got out of the house, and for months I was terrified, Dave, terrified. I wouldn't leave the house I was staying. I wouldn't go out. I was just terrified, post traumatic, just terrified. In fact, I've been diagnosed as that because of this situation. And one day, just something clicked in me. It just went wrong in me, and I was like, "What power? What control?" Right? They've got me so afraid, man. They've got so much power over me, and cut the cast off of both my arms, and I went out and tried to get that fear myself.
Wow.
What happened to me, I inflicted things on others, uh it was, to me back then, it was empowering. You just, the fear, it's not even the fear. It's like people just wanted to be around you because of your reputation, and I just took it all in. You know what I mean? And then of course I got busted with the things that I did. And as soon as I got to prison, I knew that it wasn't for me. That
I
that
gotta
that
ask you, man. I've had some guests on here that have been to prison. I've never been to prison. I was in a drunk tank once for 12 hours. Sorry, mom, if you're watching, but yeah, I was in. That's my extent of prison life. But what's that like when you first get in there and you're just alone with absolutely nothing but your thoughts? That's got to be intense.
everything that you've ever seen in a movie or thought to yourself, that's what it is that first night. When I first went in, it was Territorial, Colorado. Territorial is one of the oldest prisons in the country. It's been around before the states became states, and they were called the territories. Old rusty bar cell doors, and tiers of floors, and it's everything that you would imagine. And when that cell door closes, it's just you, and loud, loud, man. Prison's loud, just
Oh,
period. And you start to realize that, you're gonna be there a while. So yeah, I'll never forget my first night. I'll never forget my last day there. I've pretty much forgotten everything in between though.
yeah. That could be a
I
good
didn't
thing though. But
so luckily the writings from my dad, remember, we discussed that he would write me letters and I would write him letters when I was in the juvenile facility and he was in prison in California. Luckily for me, he kind of gave me a playbook, right? Because he obviously knew where I was going to be going. And so I didn't get involved in any politics, anything like that. Uh, no matter what, you got to abide by the rules there. I mean, I don't mean the guards' rules. Their rules mean nothing. You know what I mean? But yeah, I didn't get involved in any politics, anybody's business. I read a lot, watched a lot of TV, a lot of activities, stuff like that, like walk in the yard, stuff like that, man. I just kind of stayed to myself. Luckily, my dad had told me that keep your mouth shut. You know what I mean? And
mm.
your head up, but your eyes away. So
So I guess the next thing I want to talk about here is how you went from that to youth football coach. What was that like coming out of prison and just people's judgment and concerns about, they're seeing a
so when
tattooed
I got
guy
out,
coming. Yeah.
like I said, when I first went in, I knew that life wasn't for me, man. Pretty much in my mind, I told myself I was a pretend gangster. Although I did all the things that I've done, and like I said, by the way, to these listeners, everything is verifiable. You can do a record search, you can do whatever. It's all verifiable. Uh, I was just pretending to be my dad. That wasn't the life for me. You know what? If I'd have known what I know now at 17, I'm a gamer. I'm a nerd. I'm a dork. I love to read fantasy. If I'd have known that, then I'd have been a nerd. I'd have never been a convict. But anyway, uh, it was tough. What I had to do to not get back into that life because that's all I knew. I didn't know any trades. My last completed grade was the sixth grade. So that was my education. I didn't know any trades, anything. So I had to move far away. So I moved deep into the mountains of Montana and just kind of learned life. You know what I mean? How not to live the life I was because it was hard for me. I never lived a quiet life. And so it was just many years of running from who I was, you know what I mean? And trying to run to something else.
Hmm.
And then 18 years ago, I got a son, Nick, it's tattooed on my neck. He's actually going to the United States Army, leaves July 6th. He's already signed his contract, taken his oath. So good for him. But anyway, as I said in my book, this is when I believe God had had enough. And he had told me, Denny, I've done everything for you all these years and I've kept you safe and kept you out of prison for life and all this stuff. And you just don't seem to care about yourself. But I know you're a good guy. So I'm going to give you this baby boy and I'm going to take everybody away. His biological mom, your friends, your family, everything. It's just going to be you and this baby boy. So that's when it changed because he was right. There was no way I was going to ruin my son's life like my father ruined mine. You know what I mean? And so, it again, it took a long time. I'm still learning. But
Yeah.
anyway, then we moved to Michigan and I met my wife and which is my blessing. And we had two kids of our own and we moved to a small community. And at first they didn't really kind of talk to me at first because the way I look and the way I carry myself, they still tell me I walk with that penitentiary. I'm slow. I'm in no rush for anything. And next thing I know, I was gonna be an assistant coach for flag football for a Rocket League out here. And the head coach backed out. So they're like, you're the head coach.
No.
So I was like, all right. So I coached flag and coached that for a couple of years and then had a son going to wrestling and I volunteered to be an assistant coach for that. And I've been doing that for about 5 years now. This community out here is great, Schoolcraft, Michigan. Uh, they've accepted me. I've accepted them, and it's just been great. It's been wild. So
I love it,
yeah,
man. You mentioned when you found out you're gonna become a dad. That really hit me because about a year before my daughter was born, I was drinking like 7 nights a week, and then I find out my ex-wife is pregnant, and I'm like, wow, I can't even take care of myself. How the fuck am I gonna take care of a kid? I was terrified, and yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good. She's almost 12, and but you're so hard on yourself, and I can get kind of we're kind of on the same plane, just different sections. But that really hit me, man, because that was my big wake up call and my big lifeline. She's my lifeline now. Whenever I get any crazy thoughts, I'm
yeah,
like,
absolutely. Being a father, man, that's gonna let you know what type of man you are, no matter what. You know that you're gonna know what kind of man you are the minute you become a father. And I'm just grateful that I'm not the man that my father was. My kids are upstairs right now. We have a cloak. They love me. I show them affection. We didn't get affection, Ed. We're the same age. Our fathers did not, you know what I mean, love on us and hug on us and sit there and hold you and watch a movie on the couch. That just didn't happen. You sat on the floor when we were kids. We were just be seen and not heard. You remember that?
yeah, we had the big floor TV and the carpeted floors. That was my spot in front of the
Yes.
coffee table. But I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah. And no, I'm real grateful to be a father. That's my one. It's got to be my proudest thing in my life, because the family I grew up in, to be able to give my children something different is my largest accomplishment. So,
Beautiful.
and all thanks to my wife, by the way. I'm not taking any credit for this at all.
Yeah. Oh, pretty scary moment that I can't imagine as a dad is you got a bladder cancer diagnosis and you had to tell your kids that.
Yeah,
Um,
that was rough.
how scary was that? And what's happening with
So
that?
yeah, I was died last summer. I was diagnosed with and when we tell the story and that you're gonna understand this was really the beginning, another beginning. So I got diagnosed with bladder cancer, and we didn't know what level. So then I was explained to, they don't have stages, they have levels, right? They don't have stage one, two, or three, four. And so anyway, we didn't know. And the kids had seen, the wife and I'd find out. We hadn't told the kids yet, but they could see that things are different. And yeah, it was rough, man. We set the kids down in the living room, and like I said, I've got an 18-year-old. He was 17 at the time, and I've had a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and one of them being my baby girl. And we had to sit them down and explain to them about the cancer and not knowing. And it was rough. It's a conversation that nobody wants to have with any loved ones, not even your kids. I mean, if you just
No.
think about it, anybody that you truly love and they truly love you, you just don't want to share that news. It's tough. Now, luckily for me, I had low grade and had it taken care of. I went into University of Michigan out here, one of the top hospitals in the country, the top in the state, if I know it right. And they took care of me. Had the little operation. I forget the name of it, cystoscope or something like that, and did a little chemo as they were doing it, and the biopsy came back low grade. So now I got to go back every 6 months and have this cystoscope. I know I'm saying it wrong, but I think that's what it's close to. And basically, what it is, sorry to your listeners, but basically, what this procedure is the procedure where they put a camera up your rear end, right?
Mhm.
The what would what's that called? I forget the name of it. But anyway, it's like that, but it goes up your utility
Yeah.
right up the hole.
Oh,
Now, when you get it, when you get the other surgery, they put you out for that. But when you get this cystoscope, they don't put you out for it. I
oh my
think it's
goodness.
because I think they were explaining to me your urethra could collapse or something like that. So as a man, we're wide awake for that, and they're literally, pushing in a camera. And from what I heard when they did the biopsy, at the end of this little camera stem, there were some little clippers.
Oh my.
And yeah, right through it was horrible. And so I have to go through this every 6 months. Now I don't. I go next year. So you go. So it's one of the highest reoccurring cancers there is. So you got to get it checked out quite a bit. So you go the first couple of times every 6 months, then you get a year, then another year, then another year, and hopefully, if it hasn't come back, you can say that you beat it. Uh, but as far as I'm concerned, I beat it. But what's remarkable about that, anyway, listen, outlaw the salvation. The cancer started that. Uh, I'd explained to my kids and my family about the cancer, and I was in the shower, uh, doing my praying where I think most men do is either in the shower or in their vehicle. Any male I've ever talked to, that seems to be the spot. So I'm in the shower and I'm angry, so angry. God, you gave me, you changed my life. You gave me my wife, my children. I own a home, got a good job. I'm a youth coach for wrestling and football assistant. Everything is great. Why would you give me this cancer? Why? And man, I was so angry. And then the next thing you know, I was just calm. And I was like, all right, I just surrender it all to you, not just the cancer, but everything. I mean, you've been in control of my life this whole time anyway. I've always believed that. Now, how many, no, not no matter how much I ran and hid from you. I know that you've always been in control. Well, now you just have it, man. You can just have it. And then it hit me. It's kind of a win-win situation, right? If the cancer's good, then I get to stay here with all this, with my wife and my kids and the community and my job and the church. Uh, and if the cancer's bad, I'm going home anyway, right? So it was a win-win to me. Uh, and that changed my life. As soon as I accepted that, as soon as I surrendered all that, like nothing matters. I'm either here with my family or I get to see the face of Jesus.
Wow.
Like that's it. And it changed my life. So I started Outlaw to Salvation. Um, I'm with volunteer at Youth for Christ out here in Kalamazoo. I'm in the mentorship program. Uh, I'm with Forgotten Realms Ministries, writing letters to inmates at local jails out here. Um, yeah, man. Uh, Trying to start a podcast myself. Wrote a book. I'm working on a second one. It's fiction though, but it is Christian based. Hopefully we'll get to hear more about that at some other time.
Well,
But yeah, it
to
just
me
changed my
that
life.
sounds like a great follow-up episode right there when that comes out.
Right. So that being said, I said a couple of things I have to give a shout out to. I brought up my church. You've heard me give a shout out to my wife. My church, 12th Street Baptist, Kalamazoo. A whole different family, a whole new family. When I walked into this church, I was terrified. I'm covered in tattoos. I've got teardrop under my eye, tattoos on my neck. I was terrified. And these people took me in from day one, like cousins, like family. And if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would still be as fire and as persistent as I am to follow Jesus. So I had to give a shout out to them. We're also doing an event. I think you've seen May 16th here in Kalamazoo at 12th Street Baptist. Got a rising Christian singer who's on 15 stations now, Jory Jewett. So yeah, man, Jesus is doing remarkable things in my life. I get to witness him doing in other people's lives. Like it's an incredible blessing. I'm very, very humbled.
Well, I'll tell you, me and my girlfriend were watching. I'll put the link in the description here to your YouTube channel as well. But we watched, I think it was night two of your testimony at that church, and I had to pause it a few times because I couldn't see because the screen was so blurry with my allergies were acting up or something, man. But at the end, what I loved was at the end, and there's so many youth there, but at the end they all come up and people are just hugging you and hugging each other, and you could just tell you keep a group of teenagers that captivated, man. Props to you there. Because especially in this day and age when they want a 10-second clip to scroll by, like that was
Yeah.
36 minutes and I didn't hear a sound. I heard a couple of
Well,
comments about the bomb story and that, but it was
there's
pretty
definitely some
impressive,
comments
man.
on the bomb story. Yes. Yeah. Listen, that's the blessing. That's what I believe I had to go through to be, where I'm at now with Jesus is if I would have had somebody like me talk to me when I was, remember, the juvenile lockup, if I'd have had somebody just grab a hold of me and just tell me the truth, uh, but somebody that I also knew had been there, because a lot of these kids' problems, especially kids that have rough lives, a lot of their problems is that the feedback they're getting from people, they've never lived a life like that. Do you know what I mean? So there's
No.
nothing that this child can relate to. And I seem to have uh, a gift, obviously, from the Father that I can relate to these teens that are living these lives because they know I've lived one like that too. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough. And if you don't change and accept Christ, it's going to get worse. I promise you. I'm living proof of it, you know. So I've been blessed with it. But yeah, thank you. That was a special 2 days for me.
Now we've been talking, I'd found a song online that you wrote and then did a video with, and then you sent me the lyrics, and the very first two lines of the song hit me like a ton of bricks personally because I was an alcoholic for 25 years and not one person knew it. My family didn't know it. My friends didn't know it except for one person who sat me down and told me if I didn't smarten the F up, I'm not going to see 50. But Jesus loves an outlaw. We got to talk about that because we're going to put this video in here and something very special happened. I've been telling some people about our show coming up and just the video story, just, a little paragraph, essentially Cole's notes of what we're going to be talking about. And one of my friends who's actually going to come on this show, for those out there watching, of course, Denny knows this, but he's a professional musician and he does everything in his basement in his studio. And I took your song first. I'm like, hey man, can I kind of put some music and my guitar to this and make a kind of a Sons of Anarchy kind of vibe? And I thought it was pretty cool. And
Yeah, it was cool.
I was gonna play it on this episode. It's pretty powerful and raw, but then my friend Chad comes along and he's like, can you ask him if he minds if I just take that song and just do something with it? And we listened to it together yesterday. The words are so powerful. The lyrics are going to be up here for everybody to watch. But just tell me about that song and what that song means to you and your story.
Well, yeah, listen, I've got Outlaw tattooed on my stomach. That was my nickname in my 20s and in my late teens. And I bought this sweatshirt from TikTok. I just did some free advertising. And it said, you keep bringing up my past, but I'm going to let you know that Jesus dropped all my charges.
Mm.
And so I've been writing poetry and all this stuff since I was locked up. That's how I'd escape, is write short stories, poetry. Wanted to be the first white rapper, but some kid named Marshall Mathers out of Detroit beat me to it. So I just left it alone, right? And in the last year or two, I've been in this dark country. I've never listened to country music, but the last year or two, I've been in this dark country music mode, like red dirt country. And anyway, with that sweatshirt and then Outlaw, I just started thinking, Jesus loves an outlaw. And I was going to make it kind of westerny. You can see it kind of with the chorus that it was, with the hooves on fire. That was my mind's goal. But then I just started writing it. And the problem is with my writing is I don't know anything about producing. I got a guitar. I couldn't even tell you what the G chord is. So I'm like, all right. I saw the AI app. It's like, put your lyrics in it, tell them how they want it. And so that came out. That's the version that you've seen. And yeah, I've got a big old little folder here of all the stuff that I write. And anyway, you had heard it and you made your version, and that was really cool because I got to hear it human. You know what I mean? I got to hear it human, and I got to hear it sung in a similar way, but in your way. You know what I mean? So that was really cool. And then you sent me what's his Chad?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you sent me Chad's version, and that was really wow. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
it gave me goosebumps, all of it. But so we're gonna have a listen to this, and then we'll come back. I've got two more questions for you, and then we'll call this a beautiful episode, man.
Jesus loves an outlaw, forgives all sin, and dropped all my charges. Running wild down back roads, chasing dreams, dodging law's grip with a prayer and a purpose. I'm wrestling demons under the night sky. His grace is my redemption, keeps this rebel heart from going dry. Calling this sinner to a place where the lost can go. Roads hard with the devil's gang, with dust and sin in my veins. Who's like thunder, hearts on fire, outlaw my shadow is long from sin and travel. Carried scars like badges from all the fights I've known. His light cuts through the darkness, dusk and haze. It's with him I wanna stay. His grace is my redemption, keeps this rebel heart from going dry. Calling this sinner to a place where the lost can go. Rolls hard with the devil's gang, with dust and sin in my veins. Yeah, who's like thunder, hearts on fire. Outlaw soul on a long black night. He died on a cross to bring me life. In the ashes of my anger, where the devil strapped me tight, drowning in my failures, lost in the shadows of an endless night. But I whisper broke the silence, his voice called through the storm. Bow a spark of hope is rising, leading this lost soul back to him. His grace is my redemption, keeps this rebel heart from going dry. Calling this sinner to a place where the lost can go. Rolls hard with the devil's gang, with dust and sin in my veins. Oh, who's like thunder, hearts on fire. Outlaw soul on a long black night. He died on a cross to bring me life. Rolls hard with the devil's gang, with dust and sin in my veins. Oh, who's like thunder, hearts on fire. Outlaw soul on a long black night. He died on a cross to bring me life. Christ's love broke the cycle. Faith rebuilt what violence tore apart. Now this outlaw found freedom, with his mercy carved deep in my heart. He is the answer, a guiding light.
My second last question here to you is, when you first got up and you shared your story with that mic in front of people at the end of that, how did you feel? Like,
So it was crazy. Because I was a nervous wreck going into it. Like, even there's a video of it. Like, you can tell that I'm starting to loosen up the more and more I talk and walking around the stage. And when it was over, I didn't get a whole lot of reaction. I was still nervous and everything, but the pastor still has to do his sermon because I spoke before he gave his service, right? So I spoke, and Pastor Stout gave his service after that. And when it was done, he asked me to go by the exit doors, so anybody that wanted to greet me or say anything could say anything, could say something to me. And Dave, I've got a friend, Jason, that brings this up all the time. It was like a bunch of little kids lined up to see Santa Claus, like the whole church. They stood in line. Man, I'm talking beautiful old ladies pushing walkers, standing in line to hug me, to talk to me, to tell me that they were moved, that maybe they had a brother that was in addiction, and or a criminal or whatnot, and it just moved him. And that's, man, it was crazy. I cried, I teared up. It was crazy because he, I was just very humble that the Lord would use somebody like me to touch not just people like me, but everybody, and it just blew my mind that, listen, Dave, I'm a nobody. I'm just a follower of Christ. Okay, that's it. And it amazes me that the horrible life that I lived, because I don't promote the life that I lived. You know what I mean? I don't glorify it. I'm ashamed of it. I'm embarrassed of it. But because of that, it touches people because it's through the Lord, and it just blows my mind. It's just very humbling that that I get to experience it through him. It's just crazy to me. But yeah, that was a wild day. Like they lined up. It was wild. It was wild.
Well, it inspired me personally. I've loved just we've only known each other a week, but I don't know. This might sound cliche and corny, but I felt our path, we're supposed to cross. And did I say that right? Yes, our path. We're meant to
Definitely not
cross.
corny. I'm a huge believer in that, man, that people are put in each other's lives for a reason, from the Father. And unfortunately, we're human and sometimes we just don't see it.
Well, I don't see it. Sometimes when I'm my biggest self-critic, and I had this rapper on with me. I share this story every episode because it's so inspiring. And this guy's a former addict, right? And he writes songs about his addiction. And I should put you in touch with him, maybe to turn one of your songs into a rap song. But
Got a
we
couple.
start the episode and he's so nervous. He's got his hoodie on, his head's down. He's kind of talking like this. And then as he starts to open up, you can just see it. He's kind of sitting up like this now, and the hoodie is down. Still a little bit closed off, but starting to share stuff. And you can tell it was affecting him. And by the end of our episode, 45 minutes in, he's got this big effing smile, man. And we've been talking every day since he sees his best friend is only a sponsor, but I feel a connection with this dude, and I'd love to put you two in touch. But he said coming on my show was his big aha moment, and it's changed him. Like his self confidence just, and you can see it. I've got three screenshots: the front, the middle, and then at the end. And it's not me patting my back. It's just I love these episodes. It's just two people chatting, and
We know it's therapeutic when anybody can share their lives, their traumas, um, and their battles that they've gone through. It's it helps. It's helped you, right? That's why you started the podcast, right?
oh yeah, that's why I keep it going.
It was helping him. It helped me writing that book. Man, that was the best therapy I've ever had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to relive memories and things and accept things that I did that I wasn't proud of and lay it all out there. And when I was done with the book, I was like, what now? You know what I mean? Because it was therapy. It was really something. So I believe in that. I believe in communication. I believe in sharing your testimony, whether it's for Christ or not, sharing your testimony. If you've been through trauma, whatever it may be, whether it's addiction, locked up, gangs, violence, domestic abuse, whatever it may be, sexual assaults, whatever, sharing your testimony, not only does it help build you, but you may be helping that person you're sharing it with. You know what I mean? So I
Beautiful.
think it's real important.
Beautiful. All right, so everybody who's watching this, go check out every link in that description. Pick up Denny's book. Go watch. I'm gonna put the link to your that YouTube testimony that I watched, whatever one of that, your YouTube.
Appreciate
Uh,
you.
when he launches a podcast, I'll send all my tens of 20 listeners there too. But I don't care about numbers, man. I don't give a shit about numbers. Like
No, man, not at all.
it's about
Uh,
impact, right? And this is gonna impact a lot of people. Whether it's like people that listen to Nickelback, right? They don't admit they listen to it in their car and cry over.
So
photograph.
even Canadians got Nickelback jokes. All
Yeah,
right.
man, they're like half an hour away from me, man. Their hometown.
That's great. That's great.
All right, man. Speaking of jokes, I always end my every show with this question, and just my little icebreaker at the end. But a 100-meter pigeon carrying contest. How many pigeons could you fit in your arms and still have in your arms at the end of the 100-meter race?
Oh man, out of 100, fit into my arms? Well, this is one of those riddles. I'm going to look like a fool.
No,
I'd
it's no
like,
riddle. It's just how many do you think you could carry and still have in your arms at the end of
man,
it?
just realistically, because I grew up in Oklahoma and I've dove hunting and all that stuff, man. I think I can get about at least 50 in my arms. Now, running 100 meters,
Well, you don't have to run. It's a walk. You can,
man, I'd be lucky to have 20 or more. I'd
well,
probably have 20 or less by the time I got there. Because you,
50, your answer of 50, I'm gonna go with because that'll put you in second place out of every episode I've done so far. So
yeah, you pull your shirt out, man.
I had a lady say she was gonna put double-sided duct tape all over her body and just,
You just pull that shirt out, make a little pouch, and hope for the best.
yeah, man. But on a serious note, thanks for coming on with me. We're gonna put that song in there. Um, I've actually got the artist that's playing your show on the 17th coming on here, and
Yeah, man, thanks for having me. I'll definitely check that out too. I've been checking out your podcast ever since you hit me up. So definitely you're you're going in the right direction. And I'm with you. It doesn't matter how many listeners now, man. If you just one person,
that's all
one
it is.
person, that's what they
One
said at
person.
Youth for Christ. There's thousands of kids. I'm gonna throw this out there before you quit. Thousands and thousands of kids that live a messed up life, and we live with blinders on, right? And we don't even know it. So anyway, I joined Youth for Christ, and one of their questions is how many do you want to save? And the only answer is one at a time, man.
Yeah,
One at a time. That's
one
it.
at a time, one day at a time.
So right on, brother. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, everybody out there watching, find someone one time a day at least. Say someone nice to someone online. Leave a comment on someone's TikTok. Someone's got a nice tattoo. Just say a tattoo's great. Someone's got a nice hat on. Just say one kind thing to somebody every day, and you can change someone's life.